What's going on, guys? Aero here, and welcome back to another video. Now in today's video, guys, we got some brand new Xenoblade 3 news, and a whole new trailer has dropped showcasing a lot more stuff about the game, and so I'm very excited. This is my most anticipated game for the year, and we've got a ton of new information, so I really want to talk about it. Now, unfortunately for me, I uploaded a video last night talking about Xenoblade 3's combat system and the direction that I could go and things that I would like to see in it, and literally hours later, Nintendo decided to drop a brand new trailer that talks about the combat and shows it, so it really kind of sucks for me though, because I spent like 7 hours editing that video and it pretty much goes down the drain now because no one's really going to care about that now because we know the official combat, so that really kind of sucks. I like to call it the YouTuber's curse, but if anybody did watch that video, I really do love you. Thank you so much for watching it. But I guess now from this trailer we have even more stuff to talk about, so it's not all that bad. So this video is just going to be like early impressions from the trailer and thoughts about it. I'm not really going to go like super in-depth into everything because I feel like a lot of stuff is going to kind of get discovered throughout the coming days, and I don't want to make like a full entire detailed breakdown analysis type of video and then have something really cool get discovered like a few days later and then I can't go back and change it. So instead I'm going to wait a little bit, but right now I'm just going to talk about like my very early impressions on some cool things that I saw in the trailer. Now the first thing that we need to talk about is the release date, because Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was scheduled for September 2022 and everybody was expecting it to come out then, and I mean there were some rumors of people talking about like potentially a new trailer coming this week because the key art did manage to leak on the website, but not anyone, not a single soul was expecting the game to release 2 months earlier than September, so that's insane because Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is now officially coming out on July 29th. Like, that's just insane to me. I'm so excited that I'm going to be playing this game during the summer, and it's just crazy because Nintendo just a couple weeks ago had a video talking about how Breath of the Wild 2 is getting delayed, and now they have a video talking about how Xenoblade 3 is coming even earlier. Like, it's just crazy to me with everything going on. Alright, so from watching the trailer a couple times, I have a few notes here from interesting things that I saw within it. So the first thing is that it talks about how both of the nations are chasing the characters within the trailer. I think Uni is the one who's mentioning it, so it looks like that both Keeves and Agnes are after the characters, so I do find that kind of interesting because it's not like each of the sides are kind of fighting for each other. It's not like Noah is fighting for Keeves and Mio is fighting for Agnes, but rather they're both kind of having Keeves and Agnes against them, so I do find that kind of cool, and it really sets up for what the story might actually be like. Now they also mention the word Ouroboros a lot and talk about how like Ouroboros needs to be stopped, so it makes me wonder, like, is the group going to be calling themselves Ouroboros? Like, is that going to be the name of like Noah and all of his friends? And that could be kind of interesting because like how in Xenoblade 2 we had like Torna, which was, you know, composed of Jin and Malos and Akos and Patroka and all those characters, so maybe now like this group of characters is just going to call themselves Ouroboros, and that's where like Keeves and Agnes are trying to stop them. This next thing here is just a really interesting screenshot from the trailer, so we can see like this image right here, and it's actually really kind of just interesting because if we look in the image, this is definitely child Noah that we see. It's a very younger version of Noah, so what kind of importance could this even have with the story? Like, is something going to happen within his childhood that's going to impact the actual story and why Noah is the way that he is? I don't really know, but I do find this scene kind of very interesting. We also did see Child Shulk a few times in Xenoblade 1, so it makes me excited to see what this could actually mean. The next thing here is a really interesting part of the trailer, so we can actually see Noah here using the sword, but like the red stuff from the sword just comes out of the sword, where the sword just becomes like a metal sword and then it goes onto his arm. I found that really cool. I have no idea what the significance of that is going to be and how that's going to work, but I just found the whole entire kind of animation of that looking really cool. I don't know why, but it just reminded me of Iron Man as soon as I saw that, but I'm really excited to see like if that's going to have like a part within the combat itself, or maybe it's just going to be something really cool that the sword can do in cutscenes and you'll get to see a lot of really cool animations. And then the last thing here from the trailer is this new monster character says something very interesting, which is, "It's a wild ride, this passage of fate." Now I'm not going to go super into this because of spoilers, and I do plan on making like a more dedicated video talking about the story and how I think that it could actually be like, but if you played Xenoblade 1, then you know that the phrase passage of fate is something very important that's mentioned in that game. Now that's pretty much like my first impressions that I got from the trailer. However, we do have some more information as well, so now I'm going to be going into that about the combat and some of the characters. So Nintendo did upload a small bit of information about the combat system on their website, so I'll show it on screen for you guys right here, and it just says here, like in previous Xenoblade Chronicles games, battles start by facing enemies directly in the overworld. With 6 characters in your party, you'll need to use each soldier's strengths to your advantage, taking into account their position relative to the enemy. Characters you befriend on your adventure can also join you in battle, further increasing your strategic capabilities. As you progress through Ionios, customize your party by changing your character's classes to better suit the situation at hand. If certain conditions are met during battle, each of the tag team pairs, Noah and Mio, Lance and Senna, and Uni and Taion, can combine into a giant form called Ouroboros. Each Ouroboros has its own powerful moveset, and deciding when to transform can be the key to winning a battle. Now they actually showed a good amount of information in terms of the combat, so of course the first thing that you notice right away is 7 playable characters inside of the combat. Like, that's just insane to me. Like, there's actually going to be 7 characters all fighting an enemy at the same time, and I really am hoping that they are optimizing this game well and that it's actually going to like perform well, because we all know that the Nintendo Switch is not that powerful of a system, and especially when running games that have a lot of character models on screen, Age of Calamity, that the system isn't really able to render them that well, and then it leads to FPS drops. So I'm really hoping that that's not the case for Xenoblade 3. Even if the combat system is really fun and engaging, if the frame rate is constantly dropping because there's so many characters and effects on the screen, it's really going to take some of the enjoyment out of the game. Now in terms of the actual combat itself, I'm excited because it looks like it's actually a fusion of Xenoblade 1's combat and Xenoblade 2's combat, and it looks like they took elements from each game, so I'm very excited to see how this mixture is going to play out in Xenoblade 3. So the first thing is on the bottom here, we can see all of the different attacks that you have, and it looks like that all the different arts are basically going to be mapped like they were in Xenoblade 2. So the A, B, X, and Y arts are basically going to be here, and then it looks like this other set of moves that you have here are now going to be mapped to the D-pad because you don't have blades that you're switching out like in Xenoblade 2, so instead you're going to have 4 other buttons here to use different arts with. So I am a fan of that. I think it is better than what they did in Xenoblade 1 with having the arts palette and having to constantly move the D-pad to which one you want, so I think it's going to be pretty nice. Now, another thing that I noticed with the combat is that it looks like that the party meter, which was present in Xenoblade 1 and Xenoblade 2, doesn't seem to appear anywhere on screen in the combat for Xenoblade 3, so that does make me interested to see how we're going to be able to revive our allies if they do fall in battle. Like, what's going to be the way to know if you can revive them? Maybe it's going to be based around this new chain attack kind of circle where if you have part of the circle filled or something, maybe you can do that and it's still going to work like how it did with Xenoblade 1 and 2, but maybe they have some other way, so I am interested in learning about that. Now, something from Xenoblade 1 that I noticed is if we take a look at the combat here in Xenoblade 3 and take a look at the different character icons, the character icons look very similar to how they were in Xenoblade Definitive Edition, so it does make me wonder, like, are we going to have like the whole tension mechanic again, where they're going to make like different expressions during the battle? I actually talked about that in my Xenoblade 3 combat video yesterday, so that was actually one of the things that I didn't like that much about Xenoblade 1's combat, so hopefully they found a cooler way to incorporate that into Xenoblade 3. Another cool thing that I noticed from Xenoblade 1 is that you're still going to have break, topple, and daze like how it was in Xenoblade 1, however you can also do break, topple, and launch like in Xenoblade 2, so it makes me very excited that both of them are going to be a part of this combat because I did enjoy both of them and I think that there's a lot of cool things that you can do with either of them, so having the ability to choose like which one you want to do in this game is going to be a ton of fun. Now, another really cool aspect of this game that they talked about with the combat is that each character is going to have like its own class, and you can actually switch out the classes for the characters as well. So we can see right here, like if Noah and Mio are both attackers, they're going to look like this here with matching outfits. But then if we change both of them to the defender class, then they're both going to look like this. So I think that's really cool how you can actually switch out the classes for all of the playable characters. And then the last thing here about the combat is of course its coolest aspect. So it looks like you're actually going to have like these really interesting kind of fusions that you can do with the characters. So this is actually really cool because when the key art leaked for Xenoblade 3 and everybody was talking about it, if anybody else did also kind of speculate that the key art was teasing at which characters are going to pair with each other, that did turn out to be true because it looks like that these characters are going to be the ones that are going to be fusing together here. So we can see right here that like Noah and Mio can fuse together and turn into this really cool mech-like looking thing, and then Lance and Senna can do that, and also Uni and Taion. Now it talks about how this is called the Ouroboros and you're going to be able to transform into them in terms of the combat, so I'm very excited in terms of like the buffs that you get and how much time you have and how you're supposed to use it, so I think it's going to be a really interesting mechanic. And it also makes me wonder, like, are these going to be the only fusions that you can do, or are there going to be like other cool designs that we unlock later where like Noah and Uni can also bond, or maybe like some of the other characters like Lance and Taion? I think that would be really cool as well. Alright, the last aspect that I want to talk to you guys about here are the characters. So we do have a brand new updated chart here of all the characters, and of course at the very top here, we can see here, it says here, Queen of Kiev and Queen of Agnes. They still don't want to talk about these characters being Melia and Nia, so I guess we're just still going to leave that to interpretation. But we also have some brand new characters which were shown here today in the trailer. So the first one is this really nice kind of baddie character named Ethel, and it says here from Colony 4, she is the Chief of Military and known as Silver Ethel. So it looks like that she's going to be kind of helping a lot with Kieves. And then on the other side, we have Cam Navi, where it says here he's from Colony Delta, Chief of Military, and is known as Crimson Lotus Cam Navi. And then we also have some other characters here from Agnes, where at the bottom it says here Isurugi. Now these are of course Japanese names that are translated, so I'm sure that's not actually what their name is going to be in terms of the English version, but that's kind of all we have to go off of right now. And it says here that they're also going to be here from Chief of Military inside of Agnes. And then at the bottom here we can see that we have the names of the Nopon. So we have Riku and Manana, and it says here that is in charge of the mechanics of the Kieves Army Nopon, and then the other one is in charge of the cooking in terms of the Agnes army. So that's actually really interesting as well, and how those are going to be pairing together, because that's another aspect of the combat which we see the Nopon and they're actually paired together in terms of the combat. And there's actually a lot of other extra characters that we seem to see in the combat as well that are not talked about. So we can see the two Nopon, there's this character named Zeon here, there's also this other character named Valdi. So these are like characters that we see in the combat, but they haven't been revealed to us in terms of like being actual characters in the story. So it does make me wonder, like, how is the playable character system gonna work in the combat of this game? Are these characters just gonna be with you forever, or are they like temporary characters that join you for a little bit and they're gonna go away? Either way, it's very interesting to me. And then at the very bottom here of this character chart, it says here mysterious giant who suddenly appeared and attacked Noah and his friends. So that is kind of very interesting what this character could be like as well. And of course I did talk about how he mentioned that really interesting quote of the Passage of Fate earlier as well. So he's a very interesting character. And then at the very corner here, we have something that actually really kind of made me go insane, which is the fact that it says here, this character's name is Van Damme, and he basically just says here, there is another enemy, aim for Sword March. Now, I'm not going to go too into it because of spoilers, but of course, if you played Xenoblade 2, then you know that there is a character named Van Damme, so to see the same exact name again inside of Xenoblade 3 with this character, who also looks very similar to Van Damme himself from Xenoblade 2, it does make me very excited for what could happen. And so yeah, there you go guys, those are my thoughts and early impressions on the brand new Xenoblade 3 trailer. I'll probably make a more dedicated analysis type of video on like the story and what direction it could go and spoilers and all of that in the future, so you can look forward to that. But if you guys enjoyed this video, then definitely be sure to click that like button and also comment down below and let me know what you guys think of this. How are you guys feeling now about Xenoblade 3? What do you think about the combat? What do you think about the gameplay and what you see so far? Are you really excited? Definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. If you're new to this channel, then please be sure to subscribe. I'm definitely going to have some more Xenoblade content in the future, so definitely be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Click on that bell to become a part of the notification squad. Go follow me on Twitter at Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.